What's up, everybody? My sleep schedule has been kind of weird lately. Not sure exactly why, but wound up taking a nap this evening, which means I'm up pretty late. So for the last couple weeks, whenever I've been awake pretty late, I've been going out and doing some astrophotography. My business partner is on the search for a camera, and one of his concerns, I shoot with a GH5. I absolutely love this camera, but he's got some reservations. You know, a lot of people have reservations about the GH5 and numerous micro four thirds camera due to the sensor size and low light. So about a week ago, I was up late. It was like 3 in the morning. I was like, you know what? I don't want to really pace around my house for any longer, so I'm gonna go shoot some astrophotography. So I, for the first time, took the GH5 out to take some night shots. Check the first one out. For this one, there was a giant moon in the sky, clouds, and wind, which three things definitely do not assist in taking a decent astrophotography shot. So I actually went back the next night, wound up staying up till 3 a.m. again just so I could go kind of redeem myself. I didn't go too far away from the city or anything, so there was definitely light pollution and still a giant moon. So it still wasn't the best. But anyway, I was talking to my business partner about how well the GH5 did. It's got long shutter noise reduction, which is a super nice feature. Wouldn't really recommend it for time lapses for astro, but for just single shots, it does a pretty good job. I was shooting anywhere from ISO 800 to 3200. Kept up pretty well. There wasn't, you know, too much noise in any of the shots with minimal editing. They actually wound up looking pretty good. But anyway, it's Friday night. It's around 1 a.m. Again, I'm up. So I came out here to the Missouri-Mississippi confluence where the two rivers meet up. Essentially, the Missouri dumps into the Mississippi right around Alton, Illinois. So I came out here to do some astrophotography and some further tests on the GH5 and how it handles low light and whatnot. However, sometimes I forget that a lot of these parks are state parks and they close at sunset, and this one particularly, due to all the rivers around here, is very susceptible to flooding. So I did take some shots just right here at the entryway, and then Alton has a really cool bridge. It's yellow, it's lit up really cool. I remember being younger, my mom would take me up here and she always really liked this bridge. So I'm gonna go try to see if I can't find some decent locations to do some astrophotography that also shows off this bridge a little bit. Alright, I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. I drove around for a little bit trying to find a decent spot fairly close to take some pictures of the bridge with some astro stuff behind it. Now, let's talk astrophotography for just a second. It's essentially taking pictures of the stars. Now, in and of itself, it's not too difficult of a process. I'm sure a lot of you guys know, in photography, there's three main things. There's aperture, shutter speed, and the ISO. And essentially, photography in general is just a balance between those three things to create the shot that you want to create. Now, when you're shooting the stars, you don't have much light. So each of those three things controls light, essentially, how much is being let in, and each one of those creates a different effect as they increase and or decrease, respectively. Now, in astrophotography, the biggest issue again is that there's not much light, so typically you're going to have a much higher ISO value, which introduces what they call noise. Essentially is grain. When you see an image and or a video taken in a low light situation and it looks really grainy, that's called noise. Example of what high ISO is going to do. I've got my ISO here at 12,800, still saying that I'm pretty underexposed. Not sure if that's exactly the case since a lot of my background's black, but this is what grain is. This is what ISO is going to do to your image. Excuse me, this is what high ISO is going to do to your image. It's going to severely degrade it. Now, typically in astrophotography, you're also introducing in really long shutter speeds. Now, a couple things about shutter speeds is the longer your shutter's open, the more movement it is able to capture. So if there's a moving object in your image, or if there's a moving object in your frame, rather, you're going to see that movement. It's not going to be a sharp thing. It's not going to freeze action like in sports when you see a sports picture or whatever and the action is completely frozen. The longer your shutter speed, the harder that is to accomplish. So there's a general rule in astrophotography. It's the 1/500th rule, and it essentially means that you take the millimeter of the lens that you're shooting with. The one that I'm using is a 12 millimeter, but again, I'm on a micro 4/3 system which has a 2x crop. So it's essentially equivalent to a 24 millimeter, and you take that number into 500, and that's how many seconds that you can approximately have your shutter open for before the stars start to show movement, which is blurry, or creates a little bit of a blur so they don't look as sharp. Now, another big thing with astrophotography is, although again it's not very difficult to pull off a great shot, or the one that you would imagine before you take the time to go out to actually go through the process to take the picture, is that there is a precious balance. So that bridge I was talking about earlier is behind me, but as you can see, well, you might not be able to see because I got a light on me, but this area is pretty well lit. There's a lot of light, artificial light, light bulbs, street lights. There's lights on the bridge, and what that's going to create is a much different exposure level than what I would need to be able to get the stars behind it from where I currently am. So I'm going to try to go a little bit further west, and then I'm going to drive around for a little bit longer, see if I can't get far enough, but also stay close enough to keep the exposures down a little bit around the bridge, and also be able to have the exposure high enough to get the stars behind it. I do at some point in time, pretty soon, need to go home and get some rest so I can climb tomorrow. I'm going to be going to Chesterfield Upper Limits, work on some of the problems. If you follow this channel, you know that I recently experienced an ankle injury, and it is back to, I believe, 100% at this point. So I headed west. I went down the Great River Road, which kind of just follows the Mississippi River. The way the river goes kind of blocks out the bridge. Can't really see it from that direction, so I just pulled over side of the road, took a couple of shots, wound up pretty sweet. Then I headed back to where I was. Now, quick thing for astrophotography is, I know it's scary, but you're going to have to put your camera in manual mode, and you're going to have to use manual focus, because autofocus will fail you. Typically on the GH5 anyway, I'm shooting anywhere from 800 to 3200 ISO. My aperture is at 2.8, and my shutter speed's anywhere from 10 to 20 seconds, depending upon how much ambient light there is and exactly what I'm trying to do. So just got to Upper Limits Chesterfield, gonna hit some stuff up real quick, couple new problems Jimmy said. Gonna try those out, do some dynos, and then go home and get some good rest. So let's get this going. This is one of the new ones, white one. Not sure how hard it is, there's no tag. Looks to be pretty cool though, it's just on this corner. This white hole's always shred my skin. A little bit harder than I thought it was going to be, that's for sure. Solid 4.5. Another pretty sweet, cool new problem. It's this green one behind me. I do the start with the tall man beta because I simply can't fit in through the intended beta. Pretty sure it was set for the smaller people, but it's pretty freaking sweet. It's got this really cool shouldering move where you're like on one side and then you kind of push through it. It's pretty cool. So the start on this purple one looks real scrunchy, so not exactly sure how I'm going to be able to fit through there, but we're gonna try. Maybe Jimmy will come over and talk about it for a second. You never know. Oh God, Jimmy, what are we doing?
Just use your legs. No, don't do that. That's weird. I don't agree with that one bit.
I can't fit my left leg in here.
Yeah, you can.
No, I cannot. I'm way back here.
There you go. Come on, bro. Bring those hips to the wall.
I cannot do that, Jimmy.
Not with that attitude.
Alright. I'm not even going to be able to start that one. I'm going to do it from the, just past the start though. Yeah, I can't do that, dude. My hips don't open like
You gotta get that.
some people's. Yeah, I can't do that. My legs are too long. There's too much to fit in there.
That is just a piss poor excuse.
No, it's not a piss poor excuse, I promise. Higher foot. I need a higher foot.
Yeah, but bump the right hand.
Oh, is there another right hand? Oh. I mean, now that I see that, of course I'm going to bump that right hand. Duh. Alright, so that right hand, it's not nearly as good as I was hoping it was going to be. And the match just pushed my other, matching it with my left hand just pushed my right hand completely off it. So I'm going to mess around with that a little bit off camera, come back, maybe show it to you, maybe just go do some dynos that are around here. We'll see you in a second. Not strong enough to do that, Jimmy. Says you just do it. You just go. But you know, I'm scared. Alright, so there's one super cool dyno. Pretty easy, pretty sweet. I'm gonna do that real quick, and I'm gonna get out of here. Alright, hope you enjoyed the episode, guys. Give it a like, subscribe, comment if you guys have any questions. I'm absolutely exhausted. My skin is thrashed. My arms are pumped. So I'm going to go eat bean burritos and head home. Check you guys later.